idea. I will find him!
You're a breed. Men are brave.
Not about deserve. It's about what you believe.
Could've just peed on him.
Like brunch. Like, what is brunch?
The story of the Defiance is well known.
What, we some kind of suicide squad?
Heroes don't kill people.
Well, I do.
Martha!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back again with our third episode of Enter the SnyderVerse. This week we're going to be covering the 2016 classic, simply universally beloved Suicide Squad.
Well, are we some kind of Enter the SnyderVerse?
We are some kind of Enter the SnyderVerse. Yeah, that's true.
You didn't introduce us. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Nathan. That's a goal. We'll iron this all out as the weeks go forward, I'm sure. We are your hosts for this podcast. We were going to be anonymous, but not anymore.
We're not. We're kind of anonymous on the other podcasts we do, and that we just don't do an intro. But
yeah, we just kind of start. But here it's more of a show. We have outros in this one as well. This is a real show.
Oh boy, how are you today, Nathan?
I'm very well, Kyle. How is yourself?
I'm doing good.
I'm feeling a lot worse than I was yesterday because last night I had to watch The Suicide Squad 2016.
No. You didn't have to watch The Suicide Squad. You just had to watch Suicide Squads.
Yeah, you're correct. You're very
As much
correct.
as I appreciate the joke of naming the sequel to this movie The Suicide Squad, god damn is it annoying for casual conversation.
I just say James Gunn's Suicide Squad. That's what I do.
Could have given it a subtitle or something, but no, we're not there yet.
They
really
wanted the soft reboot.
I mean, we'll talk about it. That's what I've not seen, even though I probably will like it, but we'll get there.
We will get to that eventually. It'll be when we're over the hump of the DCEU, you know? Right now, the DCEU is still it's a little bit shaky, but it's still taking off right now. And then we get to a point where it's as high as it's ever going to be, and that's probably round about the time the Suicide Squad comes out with James Gunn, and it's all downhill. Here's what we're doing right now. We're on the train, and we're looking out the window of the train, and we can see that coming up on the tracks is a cliff, and there's no bridge going over the cliff. We're not there yet, but we can see it. We can see it coming. We can see it coming. Yeah, absolutely, yeah, for real. So, Kyle, I'm just taking a look at my notes here for this episode. I have taken more notes for Suicide Squad than I have for both Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel combined.
I think I'm in the same boat, yeah. I was thinking about this. This movie is this is the ultimate critic bait movie. There's so much in this movie to talk about and analyze and why did they do this? How did this thing happen? What's going on here? It's ultimate bait for critics.
I think this is a very committee film.
Oh, yeah.
I think that there's clearly a war between director and studio, and I don't think either of them had a particularly strong idea of what the film was to begin with.
You think that comes across, do you?
Yeah, but I'm also a sucker for give director the final cut. I'm just such a sucker for that. And I am one of those, again, as we've spoken about before, one of those kind of shy DCEU defenders. And I think that had David Ayer got his true vision of the film out there, it would be more interesting. I'll say that anyway, because I think a director who works from start to finish on a product has more of an idea of what he's making than the studio does.
Well, yes, this wasn't just directed by David Ayer, it was also written by him, right?
Yeah. And I think that the studio has less of an idea, but they have a vision for going forward and what sells toys and what's good in the trailer. Because I'm pretty sure there was some controversy at the time that
there's stuff in the trailer that's not in the movie, right?
Yes, but I'm pretty sure the final cut of the film might have been done by a trailer house.
So I vaguely remember the details in this.
Yeah, right, okay, tell us, Kyle.
There was two versions of the movie cut. There was one by David Ayer, and there was one by a trailer house called Trailer House, something like that. And they edit trailers. And they edited the trailer for this movie that everyone liked, the Queen trailer.
Yes.
And the studio panicked and said, "Oh, this trailer looks way better than the movie we've actually made. Can you guys edit together the movie?"
That's exactly it, yeah. You've remembered it better than I have.
So then they screened both versions of the movie to test audiences, and test audiences didn't like either version of the movie, so they edited together a third version of the movie, combining both of the different edits together, and that's why the movie is such a mess.
Absolutely. Bingo. Everything you've just said there is like you're reaching into the mist of my brain and pulling out the details, because that's just exactly what I remember, but I couldn't, like, until you brought it out of me, it was anonymous. Like I say, I'm a sucker for a director's version of a film, and I just really would love to see the Ayer cut. We got the Snyder cut, there's a bunch of accounts that are, released the Ayer cut, but apparently now David Ayer seems like a right champ, a bit like Zack Snyder. He's just a normal person in the space that seems to the DC cultists have kind of got their teeth into, but whereas I think Snyder people got really belligerent about it, Suicide Squad Ayer people, now there is some crossover, but they're not all the same.
Mm-hmm.
They were a little bit more gentle with it, and again, David Ayer seems like a really nice guy. He's spoken to James Gunn, and the vibe seems to be, we're not saying we're never going to give you an Ayer cut, but it's not on our cards right now because we have bigger priorities.
Here's the thing. Even the stuff that's originally, because you can tell what's originally in this movie and what was added in extensive reshoots.
Yeah.
It's quite obvious.
Well, it's very obvious.
I don't think that original version of the movie was good. It may have been better, but I don't think it was going to be like some hidden masterpiece.
No, well, listen. I don't think it would be a hidden masterpiece either, to be honest with you. But better than what we've got, I would still like to see it,
Well, let's do our customary reading of the critics' scores, shall we? Because
we should, yeah. You actually noted down the RT score in your notes, because we traded notes before this episode.
So, critics score 26%, audience score 58%. I didn't look this up, but that might be the lowest critic score in the entire DCEU. I'm just assuming that. What would be worse than this, do you reckon?
Oh. Possibly Birds of Prey.
Critics like Birds of Prey.
Do they?
I think critics liked Birds of Prey and audience didn't, and that was like the reverse on that one.
Ah, right, okay. Fair enough. So.
Also have to know, Oscar-winning movie.
Oscar, yes, it is for hair and makeup, didn't it? Yeah, everyone was shocked about that. You know what? It's a perfectly justified Oscar.
It's just funny to say that Suicide Squad 2016 is an Oscar-winning movie.
yes, it is, isn't it?
Like, yes, the hair and makeup is impressive. I don't think it should have beaten The Shape of Water, which I think is what it was up against. But sure, fair enough.
Fair enough, right? That might be more of a classy film, but it wasn't as pretty and sexy.
Uh-huh. Well, this is certainly a sexy movie.
This might be one of the sexiest movies ever put to screen.
It's your turn to give your thoughts on the movie first.
Right, so Suicide Squad is... I quite agree with Kyle, actually, ladies and gentlemen. When we again compared notes before this recording, I was quite shocked at how many things we have independently picked up on. Because it was, Kyle, this is your... Have you seen this film before?
This is one of the 3 movies I've seen before, yes.
Right, okay. And I've seen it numerous times over the years as well. But I still kind of thought, given how much we have at odds for things like Man of Steel and BVS, we would have completely passed each other again. But we seem to have come together on this in quite an interesting way, except I might say where, despite us probably being in the same level, I probably fall on the... I'm actually fairly just kind of empty on it. I'm not passionately against it either. Like, to me, it's just kind of fine. Whereas I probably feel like you're more, this is just embarrassing. But like, yeah, so I kind of don't hate this film, though I watch it with like a level of fascination because I know all the behind the scenes stuff that feels like it makes it more interesting again. It's like the Maryland point.
That's the thing. And if I can pivot to my thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't hate this movie either, but I do think it's a mess, but it's a fascinating mess. It's one of those movies that I would say they should study this movie in film school to like fully unpack like everything that can go wrong with the movie.
Absolutely, absolutely. But also cherish maybe picking out the vision that might have been there. Because you can see little cherries of here's what this was going to be, which you don't think would have been a masterpiece anyway. And I don't necessarily entirely disagree with you. But I just always like to see here's where the vision was going to go. And then here's all the little threads where it all just went to shit.
Well, okay, let's get into it. This movie, it feels like a movie-length trailer is what it feels like. It's because it's edited like a trailer. The most obvious one is the music, right?
Yeah, oh, the boy, in my notes, do I mention the music?
Yeah, so there's like 3 songs before the opening credits. The first 4 minutes of the movie, there's 3 different songs that play.
Yeah.
And it's not just that there's a lot of songs, it's that the songs are the first song you would think of when you think of this scene. Like, just the most obvious thing in the world. I noted down the lyrics that play at certain points.
Yes, you did, yeah.
So the first time we see Harley Quinn, the lyrics go, "You don't own me." It's like, oh, because she's Harley Quinn. And then Amanda Waller, she walks in, introduces the movie, and the lyrics are, "Allow me to introduce myself."
Yeah.
Second introduction of Harley Quinn, she's a super freak. Just the most blatant, on-the-nose tracks you could think of.
I mean, I despite this film being rated 15, at least the extended cut is, because it's got one F drop in it.
It does have one F drop in it.
It does feel like it was made for probably precisely 15-year-olds and maybe a tad younger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for them to feel like they're seeing a really cool movie.
This is a Hot Topic movie through and through.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's a bit near the end where they give some really blatant exposition.
There's only a bit during the end when they give that?
Oh, no, yeah, but there's one bit that really stuck out to me. And it's like the heart is, like, I think, destroyed or something. And then Flag goes, "That means it's our time to end this now."
He grabs Deadshot and says, "Her heart's out. We can end this." It's like, no shit, Flag. We've established this through the entire movie.
Exactly, right? And it's to keep people that aren't paying attention on board. Usually youngsters, because they're in the cinema and they're just talking to their friends. But this film also it was like a cultural moment, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Like, everyone forever and ever. This brought Harley Quinn to the mainstream.
And I do give it credit for that.
Like, Margot Robbie, terrific in the role.
I think this movie is saved from total crap by 2 very good casting choices. One of them is Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and the other one is Viola Davis as Amanda Waller.
Yes, they are absolutely bangers in this film. And I believe Amanda Waller might be coming forward into the DCU with James Gunn.
Isn't there supposed to be a Waller show?
Yes, there is supposed to be a Waller show. And the fact that Viola Davis is returning is just all kinds of good in my mind. I'm very happy about that. Well, why don't we talk about the cast briefly?
Okay, sure.
So we have Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie, perfect, gorgeous, just tailor-made for this incarnation. It just works. Viola Davis, terrific government asset that's just lethal. Like, no, she doesn't blink. She'll do anything, you know?
She has my favourite line in the film, which is when she's talking about Deadshot. She says, "I put him in a hole and threw away the hole." Yeah. Just a perfect delivery, perfect line. Good scene.
She delivers everything really flat, especially when she's speaking to Stranger Things' own David Harbour.
Yes.
Forgot he was in this movie, I got to say.
He sure is. Yeah. Love Superman came down and ripped off the roof of the White House or whatever.
So, I mean, we'll stay on topic with the cast, but I do want to come back to that specifically later on.
Oh yeah, of course.
We also have probably who was maybe the big seller for this in 2016.
Yeah,
Will Smith. Deadshot. What do you think of Will Smith as Deadshot in this film?
I think this is like the era of Will Smith's career when he's trying to like break his reputation as being like a lovable nice guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He's trying to maybe, I think, be taken a bit more seriously.
And I think part of this is the movie doesn't understand what Deadshot's character is either. But I don't know, it just doesn't come across to me. I just can't buy Will Smith as this like hardcore badass who doesn't care about anything.
So neither do I, because I still think he's too likeable in the film.
Yes.
But because I find him too likeable in the film, I end up liking Will Smith in this film.
I just struggled to see not Will Smith. It's just it's not Deadshot, it's Will Smith.
And it's, I can break that. I can always kind of throw myself into someone pretending to be that character. Like, I like the bit where he's on the rooftop and he's making the phone call and he's threatening the guy and he's got all the pinpoints lined up to kill the guy that's going to go in and rat on like the gangsters.
Mm-hmm. The only trick shot he does in the movie.
The only trick shot he does in the movie. I have another note about him, by the way, throughout the whole movie. He has his big Deadshot rifle. Keeps appearing and disappearing at random points throughout the film. Sometimes he's using his like wrist guns, and other times he's using his big marksman rifle.
And sometimes he has pistols.
Yep, but I mean, his rifle keeps appearing and disappearing, and when he is not using it, it is nowhere on his person.
Well, it would look a bit clunky in the dialogue scenes, you know? You can't sit in a bar still with a big rifle on your back.
But where it's not even there, it's in action scenes. See the action. See the bit before Diablo uses his fire in the film where Will Smith gets him to amp him up to use his fire, right?
Mm-hmm. I like that scene. It's a good scene.
They walk out into the corridor and he's holding his rifle, and then we pan to the wide shot in the action and he's using his wrist guns again. And then we go to another close up, and he's still using his wrist guns, but the rifle just disappears. It's not in his back. It's not like they've just left it off stage left.
When it comes to the editing in this movie, shot consistency is the least of their problems.
Yeah. True. So to stay on stay on topic again with the cast. Then we have Cara Delevingne as Enchantress,
as Dr. June Moon.
Dr. June Moon. What a name. I actually know very little about Enchantress. Is that like
no, me neither. The only thing I know about her from these comics. I assume that's her comic name. Probably.
So it sounds very comic booky.
Yeah.
What do we think? What do we think of Cara Delevingne as Enchantress?
I mean, she sure doesn't do much, does she? Like, in acting terms.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like her.
I like the design. I like the first design.
I like the first design. When she uses her brother's heart, it just kind of becomes a very generic Mystique enchanter. I guess
she does a wavy inflatable car sales
dance. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Very interesting looking at the box art for this film, by the way, because they're all together as one big group, including everyone's favourite, Slipknot.
The man who can claim anything.
The man who can claim anything. I have no idea who the character of Slipknot is. Is he a Suicide Squad original? Is he a Gotham baddie?
I looked into this a bit. I think he's like a Flash villain.
Right,
and
okay.
His deal is not actually that he can claim anything. His deal is that he's very good with using ropes, which is why his name is Slipknot.
That would make sense. What do we think of his inclusion in the film? He was one of the few characters that wasn't in the first hour of the movie having an introduction.
See, it's still so funny when he just comes out of that car and it's like, oh yeah, this guy's on the team too. And it's like, well, I guess that guy's going to be the one who dies then.
Yeah, I guess
because you haven't introduced him.
That's how we're going to tell that this is a Suicide Squad. Who else do we have in the team, Kyle?
We've got El Diablo.
El Diablo. I forget the actor's name. Horribly unprofessional of me.
Yeah, I didn't look it up either. He's good in the movie, though. He's probably my favourite character.
He is. Apparently, a lot of that is from David Ayer. A lot of that is David Ayer stuff.
Okay.
A lot of the film was going to have a lot more of him. He dies in the end, doesn't he?
He does. He gets blown up.
So apparently that also wasn't the plan.
Interesting.
He was supposed to still do everything he does, but he's a fire demon. You think an explosion's going to kill him?
I mean, he also... It's an explosion that kills the other fire demon guy that he's fighting. So
he's
I guess
big. He's big metal, man. It melts him to bits. he just melts. That's all. I'm fine with that.
We got Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang.
We do have Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang, cult classic character of Captain Boomerang. I've never understood what the Captain Boomerang character is.
He's a joke Flash villain who throws boomerangs.
Yeah, and I mean he shows up in this with he's Australian, that means we have to play some AC/DC.
Well, of course, Nathan.
This is the Flash's first outing as actually seen in costume in the DCEU right here. The Flash shows up. We all like Ezra Miller as the Flash. They were very good in the role back then.
I mean, beyond this, just the cast thing, but just the idea of putting Captain Boomerang on this squad, like, why? Oh, he survived a tangle with a metahuman. No, he didn't. The Flash kicked his ass.
But I mean, so I kind of think those lines play into me to be like just her vying to get her squad. Like, she doesn't care.
Yes.
Like, it's very. I actually think that's quite deliberate. That it's like because I think maybe the Suicide Squad also kind of treats Flash like a joke. That he survived a tangle with a metahuman, and the Flash just shows up and does a little funny wave at the camera. Like, did he really? That's more to underline how fucking ruthless she is, you know?
I guess I can see it that way. That does not come across properly in the movie.
I kind of always have seen it that way. Like, she's just a liar, you know? It's just a little wink at the audience. Like, this is who she's saying, you know, just to get the team. She wants the team approved. That's
the thing with that too is that that's all edited like a trailer, so they have like the character introductions with the text, and most of the text is jokes. Yeah,
I tell you what, I like those little character introduction texts that come down the screen.
I don't dislike those. The problem is that everyone in the movie is introduced like 2 to 3 times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you introduce Deadshot at the start of the movie. First scene, he's in his cell, he gets beaten up. You introduce him again with the proper flashy intro, and then you introduce him a third time with that demonstration at the shooting range. It's like, you can cut 2 of these scenes, and we'll be just fine.
I think they were just looking for structure. They didn't know how to start the film, I think.
It's like an hour into the movie before the squad has actually met each other.
I have it here. I have it right here. Hold on. It's in my notes. It's at 38 minutes and 20 seconds. And that is also just briefly before we get our 9th song of the jukebox.
Great stuff. So that's 38 minutes. That's when our final member of the team shows up, which is Katana.
Yeah,
She's
Katana.
got my back.
I think she would have been great. I actually really wish we got more of her. What is she doing in the film?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. She's there so that Harley Quinn has a sword at the end to use.
I think Katana is probably someone that was really hurt by reshoots. I bet a bit like El Diablo was in the film a lot more.
Maybe because right now her character makes no sense. There's a moment just before the bar where they figure out that Flag has been lying. Has he been lying? This is one of those things that's unclear in editing, but I guess they're mad at him for not telling him that he's in love with Jun Moon, even though that doesn't change anything at all.
Yeah, absolutely. It changes absolutely nothing when that reveal is made.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and they all go into the bar, and then Katana also gives him a look like she's betrayed by him as well. Like, why does she care?
Why do you care? Exactly. The whole time you have been just a government zombie working with Flag and Amanda Waller to achieve these means, and suddenly you find out that Rick Flag knows this person, and now it's just...
I guess we should mention Rick Flag as well.
We should. We're talking. Yeah, you know what? I love him.
He's good. He's good in this movie.
I think he's really good in this movie, and I've seen James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, so I know where all this. I know a lot of these people actually return. Like, even though it's a soft reboot, we have a lot of returning characters, and I think he's just a great character. I think he's really solid, actually, and I think his relationship with Jun Moon is also supposed to be a bigger thread of the original film.
Oh, it's barely a thread at all. Amanda Waller's just like, I knew they would fall in love, so I matched him with her, and it worked. Good for me, I guess.
You can always tell when there's reshoots for this film, because if Rick Flag has long floppy hair, it's slicked back, it's a reshoot. If he's short military man hair, it's part of the original principal photography.
Yeah, and it's impressive. He has a secret power to grow his hair between shots.
Right, exactly. It's not even like it's a bad wig like Ewan McGregor and the Phantom
Sometimes
Menace.
They try and hide it with a hat.
Sometimes they try and hide it with a hat. That kind of adds a little bit of ambiguity. You're not quite sure when he's wearing the hat.
Because one of the most confusing parts of this movie is... Okay, the main villain is Enchantress, right? Oh, sorry, we've got one more Suicide Squad member we haven't talked about yet. And that is, of course, Killer Croc. God. Everyone's favourite.
How could we forget Killer Croc?
Because he doesn't do anything.
So you say Katana is only in this movie to give Harley Quinn a sword right for the end of the film. I think there probably is more to her that just was cut. I honestly think that Killer Croc is purely in this movie to do the underground swimming bit at the end.
But they have Scott Eastwood to do that. Remember Scott Eastwood?
I remember Scott Eastwood. The film certainly doesn't remember it's Scott Eastwood. I was shocked that he sacrificed himself and the film done nothing about it. There was just not a dramatic moment. There wasn't a longing sadness because he's been literally in the entire film.
He's been in the whole movie, yeah. He's like Rick Flagg's best friend, I assume.
Yeah, probably, maybe, perhaps. He's his Modern Warfare soap. That's who he is. That's exactly who he is. And then he's just dead now.
Well, that's gets to the core plot of the movie, which is it's a bunch of Special Forces soldier guys, and then a bunch of what's the right word for this? Problems that they have to deal with and babysit.
Delinquents.
Yeah.
For some reason, Harley Quinn is being seen as being more of an asset than
Scott Eastwood.
Yeah, than Scott Eastwood for some reason. Because Harley Quinn can do what?
She can swing a bat, and the music goes bada swing.
I think there must have been something in this film to do with her being a psychiatrist. Because there are little bits of that where she says that she needs someone to torment. Mm-hmm. Perfectly fine if that is going to play into the plot. And it just doesn't. So see, unless you're going to use her as like a psychopathic psychiatrist in the film, she's just a visual.
Well, listen, right. This movie kind of changes what the Suicide Squad are in the comics, because Harley Quinn is a mainstay on the Suicide Squad, usually.
Yeah, I knew that.
Usually the Suicide Squad are they're like a Black Ops group with no accountability, right? So if they ever get caught, the US government can say, oh, they're just a bunch of super criminals acting on their own. We have nothing to do with it. That's the point.
They deny all involvement.
Yeah, the point of the Suicide Squad is not to kill Superman.
No, that's what it's becoming.
And that's the fundamental weirdness with this movie is like, what are any of these people going to do against Superman? El Diablo might do something.
Yeah.
But...
So I have in my notes here, fairly near the top, that Amanda Waller only needs Enchantress and maybe a backup El Diablo, and that's it. I have a quote here. Go get it, girl. And that is when Amanda Waller's trying to sell the idea of Task Force X, which sounds like an X-Men thing. Mm-hmm. And Enchantress goes into some Middle Eastern Ministry of Defense vault and gets secret plans that the US have been wanting for decades or something like that. Okay. Like, that's it. That's who you need. And I get maybe she has a fundamental distrust of Enchantress, but that's what the heart and the bomb's for. And then maybe you have El Diablo's backup in case you need someone to go in.
Yeah, it's annoying about that too. They establish that she's got this heart in a suitcase with a bomb, and she never uses the bomb.
No.
She just stabs it with a pen.
Just stabs it with a pen. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And it sounds almost like she's stabbing into like a balloon.
Yeah, and they introduce Enchantress as being a member of the squad, but Enchantress never actually meets the squad until the end of the movie, so there's not like any kind of connection there whatsoever.
Yeah, it's not like she was there and then it's like in the X-Men First Class where the team starts to fracture and some go with Kevin Bacon, but they were all together for a moment.
Yeah, exactly. That never happens in this movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like... So when I first saw this film in the cinema, I thought the whole Midway City stuff, I thought this film was going to have multiple missions with the Suicide Squad, and then we would have like some big third act mission that would be the film.
Yeah, so you have a couple missions establishing the team and getting to know their dynamic and stuff. A movie.
Yes, like a movie. When I first saw this film and we got to the rooftop and they were getting ready to extract Amanda Waller, great twist, by the way, that she was in.
Is it a great twist? Why is it a great twist?
Sorry, in my notes I say it's a fun twist. I quite enjoy it.
It's a twist that doesn't need to be a twist. Like, why is it a secret that Amanda Waller is in the city?
Because, oh no, they're in the room with the person that has the tablet that can blow them up. Maybe they'll kill her.
Yeah, but then that happens and they don't. And Killer Croc's like, I like her, because...
Yes, for some reason.
She's got balls or whatever,
I
guess.
She's big, scary lady. I just think it's I just think it's quite neat that, like, the whole film, you're not really thinking about who it is you're going to get. At least I wasn't. And then, oh, it's her. Just a little kind of thing that makes you go, even if it doesn't
Well, also,
mean
though,
anything.
their mission to extract doesn't make sense because they establish earlier in the film that their whole point is to deal with evil metahumans. So isn't the point of the Suicide Squad to send them in to kill Enchantress in the first place?
So I thought that. So this brings me back to what I was going to say, where I thought this was going to be like a little mini mission that builds up their dynamic for the third act. I thought that we were gonna be like when they extract her from the city and she flies in the helicopter, that would be it. That's like, okay, that's us leaving, we're going to another situation now, and Enchantress's big blue sky beam will be something that we'll come back to, maybe. Or maybe like it, but oh sorry, no, it won't be. This is where my brain started to go off the rails a bit. I was like, wait, how long are we into this film now and we still haven't resolved all this? This is, surely the whole film isn't set in this city overnight, right? Like, that was my first impressions. And then I was like, oh no, I guess this one mission is the whole film, which took me by surprise, because I thought we were going to get, like you say, some smaller missions to build up the dynamics, and then we'll have like the big mission. And I thought we're going into doing Extract is almost like a training mission to build them up, to get the character dynamics, and then we'll really send you in for a proper Suicide Squad 2016 mission. And it never happens. This is the Suicide Squad 2016 mission.
It sure is. And you know what? It's just walking around a city that's in eternal nighttime, even though outside of the city it's daytime.
For no reason.
Because editing.
Nighttime looks nicer, that's why.
It looks more dramatic for fighting all these bubbly men with bubble faces.
Yeah, I think the idea is they go in at sunset and then they come out at daybreak. That's the idea, I guess so. Anyway.
Right, okay. Back to what I was going to say. So, Enchantress is the villain of this movie, and they immediately establish that basically she's not under Waller's control at all. Waller just thinks that she is, because she escapes immediately.
Yeah.
But the scene where she escapes is executed so bizarrely. So, she escapes overnight, and she threatens Flag not to use his phone, and she teleports away, and she gets her brother, who's just on Amanda Waller's shelf, I guess. Not like a secret vault or something, just Amanda Waller has her in her office.
Yes, in my note I've got Amanda Waller really did just have another one of those ancient statues that house gods in the next room.
You think you would hide that somewhere a bit more secure, you know?
Because it looked like she was in a hotel room, to be quite frank with you. But then
it did. That's true.
Then there's like a secure room as part of the hotel, and in there's a laptop, and then there's another statue nondescript. Why is it in the same room as the same sort of apartment complex as the Heart? Like,
you think you'd have this in some sort of secret military facility?
Yeah, not just in the next room.
No. Or at least like in Area 51 or something in a crate, you know?
Exactly, I agree.
Anyway, so she lets her brother out, and then she goes back, and then she kind of, it's unclear, but I guess she's like engineering the situation so that they want to use Enchantress to deal with this other person because they don't know that it's her brother, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely true.
So they send Dr. June Moon and Rick Flag into the sewers, and he's got a hat on, so this is a reshoot. Yep. And Rick Flag kind of pressures her into letting the Enchantress out, and then it cuts away from the scene, and over the radio, Rick Flag is like, "She bolted." You don't want to show that on screen.
Yeah, you don't want to see the bit where she betrays you. Yeah, all that's just added in.
You don't want to see the most critical part of the movie where the villain becomes the villain. You don't think that's important to be in the movie?
That would be fairly important to be in the movie. That would be fairly important. I found it more bizarre that Amanda Waller didn't notice that her statue was missing. It's sitting right above her laptop in her little office there. Must be pretty important to her. Also, why did the suitcase know Enchantress was approaching it? Remember it flashes red, and she's like, "Well, I can't go for that. Better go get my brother." It was almost like she wasn't going for the brother.
Maybe there's like a genetic code lock on it or something.
Maybe because it has June Moon's DNA.
It's got June Moon's DNA.
Possibly, very possible.
Wouldn't it be nice in this movie if we cared about June Moon and she had any characterization at all?
They should have planted a bomb in June Moon's neck.
I guess they didn't I guess she escaped before that happened.
Like, she must have escaped before that happened. Absolutely.
It's another one of those pointless scenes where they have a scene where Deadshot shows off his skills in somehow a really boring way, where he just shoots a bunch of targets,
But he does. Dead. He puts every bullet in the same spot on each target, and he drills through them.
I guess, but it doesn't actually look that cool on screen. You know what he needed in this movie desperately is tracer rounds.
Tracer rounds would have been nice, but they say dead shots. They fly through the sky.
At least something to make him a bit more visually distinct, because on screen there's no way to differentiate his abilities from the regular military guys.
Yeah, I think, like I say, I think Will Smith wanted to be taken a little bit more seriously, so they thought if they give him a bit more colour, because he's a fairly muted visual in the film. He doesn't even wear his big white mask that much. Mm-hmm. It's because, they didn't want him to be the comedy character. I think they wanted to give him some gravitas. He's
kind of the main character?
Yeah, he is kind of the main character. Like him and Rick Flag are supposed to kind of be sort of the same, but different.
Mm-hmm. They earn a mutual respect for each other over the course of the movie,
exactly.
I guess.
Like, I run the Marines, you run the Suicide Squad. Let's work together and pull these two teams into one fighting force. Let's make Scott Eastwood and Captain Boomerang best friends.
Anyway, get back to what I was saying. So, the movie cannot decide if Amanda Waller is competent or incompetent. She's both. She's both at the same time. Because, all of this is her fault. This is everything. The entire plot of the movie is a problem that Amanda Waller caused. But also, the movie wants her to be this suave know-it-all, is good at everything type, and doesn't realise that these two things are at odds with each other.
It makes her a human, Kyle. She's capable of making mistakes.
I guess so. Yes,
she's good at her job, but she's fallible.
Did you remember the scene where she's been brain tortured by the Enchantress?
She's hanging upside down,
and Enchantress sends big lightning bolts to military facilities.
Yeah,
and that doesn't matter at all to the rest of the movie.
Oh, they're how does she know where these are? These are classified bases, and then they do the camera shot too.
Yeah, that's the thing about that too is we didn't know what those were either, so it doesn't matter to us, the audience.
It's military bases. We're destroying military infrastructure. America is in danger.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you should call the Justice League.
Well, I have this in my notes here, and it's, why is this event not Bruce Wayne's moment to be like, right, okay, we need the League. What's he doing between Batman vs Superman and Suicide Squad? The League isn't in place yet.
Maybe there's some. Maybe the Scarecrow is running amok in Gotham right now, and we just don't cut to it.
Can we talk about Batman?
Sure, let's talk about Batman. He punches Harley Quinn in the face underwater.
I love it.
You know what annoys me though, because we established last week that Batman kills people. Why doesn't Batman kill the Joker?
Maybe he would have tried, but the Joker got away.
Okay, sure.
But I actually think that for people maybe such as yourself of the hard belief that Batman shouldn't kill, this might be the best. This movie's
better because he doesn't kill people in this movie. I agree.
This might be the best portrayal of Ben Affleck's Batman in the entire DCEU. It's
entirely possible. I like the scene where he shows up to take out Deadshot in front of his daughter. And his daughter steps in front and says, "Don't kill Batman, Daddy." I like that scene.
Oh yeah, he glides down really mysteriously. Amanda Waller's I gave my tip off to someone I know in Gotham. Is that Bruce Wayne or is it Batman? Because the film doesn't confirm nor deny what she knows. Because
she does. She has the working nights line, so I assume that's what that means.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty heavily implied that she knows Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Maybe, but she also doesn't have a clue what needs the files for. He's going to shut it down. So we can come
the files that he already has.
He's getting more information, Kyle. Not all files have everything. You need to see what different sources know.
The Batman v Superman confirmed to me that Lex Luthor knew everything about everything. So
that he sees a lot from his helipad.
Yes. No, it's a fine portrayal of Batman. I'm fine with it.
I quite enjoy when he's on top of Joker's purple Lamborghini and Harley Quinn says stupid bats.
We didn't even talk about the Joker yet.
You're ruining date night. I quite like. I have in my notes here. We'll get to the Joker. I quite like something in my notes that I've written down that I'd like to see more of Batman and Harley Quinn share some screen time.
Yeah, sure.
I think that there's just something about their briefing, fleeting seconds of dialogue together. Not even dialogue, but interactions that just make me kind of long for. I think this version of Harley Quinn versus Batman would be more interesting than this Joker and Batman.
I agree, because this Harley Quinn is more interesting than this Joker, just generally speaking.
Something I have written in my notes again is I don't believe this version of Harley Quinzel would do anything for the Joker.
No, she's too smart.
Yeah, exactly. She's too smart and too competent to possibly feel anything. Because this Joker, I forgot just how green his hair was, I'll be honest with you.
It's very green, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit, it was still that maybe shade, but it was a bit more muted.
Good old Dr. Michael Morbius himself.
The good old Dr. Michael Morbius himself. Let's talk about the Joker, shall we?
Let's talk about the Joker. What's he doing in this movie, Nathan?
Because we can't have Harley Quinn without Joker. I think that might have been quite a bit of that going on, because Harley Quinn was not... I guess so. It's so easy to think of Harley Quinn as being hot in this mainstream now. Pre-2016, I don't think that was the case at all. Sure, the Arkham games done stuff with that, but the Suicide Squad movie was universally
It was
popular.
more the case in the comics, but the comics are not, like...
Yeah.
People need to understand when we're talking about the comics have a minuscule audience compared to the movies.
Yeah, exactly. This is always the case. So they needed the Joker to sell Harley. Who is Harley Quinn? Well, she's the Joker's girlfriend, right? That is why the Joker's in this film. It's to underline who Harley Quinn is,
I guess. And then after that, it's just to add cheap drama to the movie.
Yeah, apparently there's a lot more Joker in this film, which a lot of people seem to be in favour of seeing more of. I'm in favour of seeing more of it just to see what the hell it would have meant for the film. Because there's stuff in the trailer with him, like his face is half burned off and he's in his tuxedo with his golden AK-47.
Yeah,
it's like after the helicopter crash and he's got a grenade. I think he kind of shows up before they face Enchantress to be like, where the hell do you think you're... After the bar scene, to be like, where do you think you're going? Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, and then how would that be resolved? Question mark.
I think that's supposed to be the moment where Harley Quinn says something about... Because the film doesn't really paint it in this way, but who knows what different editing would have done. Where maybe Harley thinks that Joker threw her out of the chopper. And
right.
Because remember later on when she's sitting in the car, she rips off her pudding choker?
She does, which is weird.
Yeah, it's very weird, right? But again, if you read it from these different cuts of the films, that maybe he pushed her out of the helicopter to like fall to her death, because maybe there's only one parachute, and you'll only weigh me down, Who knows what lines were cut?
Well, that's the thing with this edit of the movie is it doesn't understand.
Clear.
It doesn't make it clear if Joker really loves Harley Quinn or not.
Yeah.
Because normally their dynamic in the comics is that she's super in love with the Joker and he doesn't really care.
Yes, exactly.
She's just like a tool to him.
Exactly.
But this movie, it really paints it like he's really in love with Harley Quinn most of the time, but not all of the time.
So in the extended cut, there is some scenes where like Harley looks at a crashed helicopter or a motorbike lying in its side, and then it cuts to a flashback of her before she jumped into the toxic waste, including when she jumps into the toxic waste, and like the Joker's just leaving her and driving away, and she's catching up with him on like a motorbike to say that she's really crazy as well, and she like skids the motorbike in front of his car and makes him stop, but she's just standing still, like he's trying to like goat him out to see if he'll run her over, and then he's got a gun, and then a truck driver comes up behind them and is like, fucking move your car, right? I need to get on with my stuff, and then she takes Joker's gun off of him and then shoots the truck driver, and then Harley Quinn is like threatening to shoot Joker after that, and Joker's like, go pull the trigger, I don't care, and she can't do it, right? And then we go to another flashback later on in the film where he makes her jump off of like a diving board into toxic waste to be like him.
That's in the main cut of the movie.
That's in the main cut of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was extended or not. And it's like I think he does not care, because he doesn't think that she really cares as much as she says that she does, because he will do something that she will refuse at one point. But she just keeps saying yes to everything. So he's like, oh, okay, maybe there's something here. And then he jumps off to go and get her.
Here's the thing, though, right? So we established early on that Harley Quinn gets captured because Joker leaves her in that car when she can't swim. And that's classic Joker. Like, Joker doesn't actually care about Harley Quinn, right?
Yeah.
But then the rest of the movie is all about the Joker trying to rescue Harley Quinn, which just is very discordant with the Joker that would leave her in a drowning car.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Maybe it's because he's actually really scared of Batman and he's not scared of anyone else.
I guess so.
Because I was, something I read actually on Twitter that David Ayer responded to recently, And it was the first time, I think, according to David Ayer, it was one of the first times he'd ever seen someone make this comparison. And it's when the difference between Batman jumping in to the water and saving Harley Quinn's life versus Harley Quinn jumping into a vat of toxic waste for the Joker and the Joker following suit. You know, the Joker will jump in because it's a toxic relationship. It's symbolism, Kyle. Whereas Batman will rescue her and rebirth her in the water. It's religious. It's baptism. That was going to be her redemption. That obviously never happened.
I mean, it kind of does, right?
Kinda. Not really ever.
I mean, isn't one of the movies about the fantabulous emancipation of her one Harley Quinn?
It's an awful film.
By the way, I just want to throw in there that I hate Jared Leto's the Joker. I'm just gonna put that in there. It's not so much the design, because obviously when the production stills came out and he has the damaged forehead tattoo, was a big meme. But just his performance is just... there's a specific line, it's in the helicopter scene where he's like, just me and you, baby. And it just, it reads, it sounds like an Austin Powers line delivery or something. It's terrible. I just don't think he's a good actor. I don't know why he keeps being in stuff.
He's an Oscar winner.
I mean, this is an Oscar-winning movie, Nathan, so...
He wasn't related to his talent, though. Jared Leto was I will say, is a great actor, if maybe a bit too method. I think his Joker performance is all over the place, and I think that probably does speak to maybe Jared Leto himself being a bit all over the place. I kind of see in his nightclub at the start of the movie where Harley Quinn's doing the dancing and all that, right? And Super Freaks playing, and then you get Purple Lamborghini playing in the background, but it's diegetic, so I didn't put it in my notes because it's in the room. I quite like that, where he's just sort of sitting there and sort of straight face, not laughing at all, with his cane and the white shirt and all that, and the bouncers are kind of doing a lot of the talking for him. And then the other crime guy makes him laugh and that, and he has like the big Cheshire cat tattoo, and he holds it up to his face. I like all that stuff, actually. Yeah. I quite enjoy some of that, where he's actually just really sinister, and almost like the Joker's also a mask for him. I quite like that. People, because there's always the, Joker is just nothing. He has the meme, he's an idea, right?
Yes.
The big meme. But I do like maybe what they were trying to go for here, that Joker's actually a fella and he's adopted this clown persona. But when he's doing business, he is fairly straightforward, actually.
I mean, that's not consistent through the entire movie, though. It's
not consistent through the entire movie, no.
Because there's the scene where he's, like, torturing that guy and he's, like, sitting on his lap and all that crap.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, it's to inspire fear, him and the Batman, they aren't so different.
Do you remember when that prison guard hands Harley a phone in front of 16 military guys?
I remember.
And nobody notices?
And isn't it like a pink, like fake diamond encrusted phone?
Yeah, he says out loud too, this is from Mr. J. So, like, everyone saw that.
Everyone saw that, yeah, exactly. Like, it was such like a bad way to convey to the audience that he's smuggling stuff for her.
No, and also Harley leaves that scene giggling about how he's so screwed, and then we never see that guy in the movie again.
Yeah, he never shows up. There isn't like a comeuppance scene later on. He gets away with it.
Yeah, that is.
He gets his debts paid off. He's now working for the Joker. And he then does what the Joker says, and nothing bad happens. Yeah,
he was a dirty prison guard who continued to be a dirty prison guard.
I think they might have plans for him if they made a sequel that was more true to this film.
Maybe. It's not like he was a super compelling character.
No, but because this is the prison that they're all in, like, he would be like at the start of the film. Maybe they would kill him off then.
I guess so.
Who do you think is in this film to be like a red herring for who we're going to kill off? Apart from Slipknot.
A red herring for who we're going to kill. I guess the Joker, right?
I never thought anything would happen to the Joker because because the DCEU is going to be so big and massive, and you can't kill the Joker.
We have to have Jared Leto fight Batfleck.
Well, a lot of the story there is like his fake teeth is because Batman punched all of his teeth.
Out. Yeah, sure. I don't mind that as a detail.
They're
going for this is like Hot Topic DC. It's fine. I understand the aesthetic they're going for here.
I'll say when we're doing all the character introduction things, one of the things that flashes up on the screen for Harley Quinn is accomplice in the murder of Robin.
Yep.
So it's all kind of this is all taking place after whatever the Batman and the Joker have previously been through, you know?
Sure, well, this is after Batman v Superman, because it opens with a flashback to Superman's funeral.
Yes. But that bit could, when they first arrest Harley Quinn, that could all be before that, because this film has a lot of flashbacks, and you don't know is it happening.
That's true.
Before this movie, but after Batman vs Superman, or is it maybe like even before Man of Steel? Because there was a time where this Batman was a more traditional Gotham City fighting the Penguin type of person.
I mean, this is the thing too, which it kind of unravels Man of Steel's whole, like, this is the first time we've ever seen anything like this. And then this movie comes around, it's like, oh, well, we have, like, ancient magic swords, obviously, and reptile men, and people who turn into ancient fire people. But, you know, Superman, he's the big difference.
Yep, absolutely. This film just kind of does go at odds. I remember back when I first saw this movie, and I thought this was just like their answer to Guardians of the Galaxy, and the same way Guardians of the Galaxy didn't initially feel like it was tying into anything, despite the fact that Thanos was literally in it, but it felt like it was their first set away from Earth story, you know?
Yeah.
This to me felt like the DC's first, well, we're not dealing with the superheroes story, you know? But again, it's only the third movie in the franchise.
Except this movie is like explicitly tied to all of that stuff.
Batman,
like Flash shows up, Batman arrests half of the Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
the fact that Batman can take down half of these people, it really reinforces the whole, like, how are they going to take down Superman if they can't even take down Batman, you know?
Yeah, I know, for real, right? You're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong.
As for your red herring question, though, I never believed that any of them were going to die. I didn't even believe that Junman was going to die, and she doesn't, so...
Yeah, she doesn't. I seem to maybe remember back when the film came out, questioning who might they kill. I thought maybe a Captain Boomerang or Killer Croc. They were both potential candidates.
Expendable?
They are.
I mean, you would think in a movie called Suicide Squad, they would kill some of the squads.
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet.
I know, there's like a thing at the start of the
You're gonna love James Gunn's Suicide Squad.
Yeah, so... As we say, like, Deadshot is kind of the main character, and I guess all of them are supposed to have this arc of learning to bond as a squad, even though it doesn't actually happen. It just, the movie has gone on long enough, so they've bonded as a squad now.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we need to face the villain and end the film. By the way, that I did quite like the aesthetic in that final scene when they're facing down Enchantress. See all the water on their skin and the rain? That rain machine must have been turned up to an 11 because they all looked super wet.
I mean, sure,
but
the editing of that,
nice. It was nice rain.
The editing of that final fight is a nightmare.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It cuts between like underwater nonsense and then hiding behind pillars, then moving around the pillars, and then her turning around saying, "Come forward." I mean,
more so than that, like, Harley Quinn cuts out a heart, and then the heart disappears, and it's about throwing a bomb into the thing. Shouldn't it be about shooting the heart? Isn't that the whole thing? Yeah,
because the heart should be weakening her now. The brother's dead.
Yeah,
like, she doesn't need the heart anymore.
But suddenly there's this bomb that we have to throw into the big vortex. Because the portal
is independently powered now. Like, it doesn't need her.
How?
Who knows? So, should I tell you, Kyle, a little bit about what David Ayer's original desire for this film was?
I know the rough drafts.
So
it was supposed to be Justice League, basically, right?
Basically, yeah. So parademons were going to show up that we see in the apocalypse sequence. They're the nightmare sequences in Batman vs Superman. This was supposed to be like Steppenwolf, that was the puppet master behind the scenes here, and he was going to be. I think essentially that portal was supposed to be a boom tube to bring Steppenwolf here, and this film might have been a big cliffhanger to lead into Justice League. And we also have, you know, a mother box that was supposed to be controlling Enchantress this whole time. Like, she was supposed to essentially be being hypnotized by the mother boxes to create the conditions that would allow Steppenwolf to arrive on Earth. And then they were like, no, we need to change all that for reasons, and just make a fairly standalone piece.
One of the main problems with this movie is that Enchantress is way too OP for the Suicide Squad to take down. The fact that they're able to do it at all is pure luck.
She doesn't really feel like she exercises much of her powers in the final fight. She just sort of golems around and
she does just sort of golem around. And Even though she could easily kill all of them.
She could easily kill all of them. Yeah, she could do a Scarlet Witch and appear behind them and snap their necks. You know.
Yes.
It's quite similar to how Scarlet Witch would operate in the Multiverse of Madness.
Or she does do the Scarlet Witch thing of like showing them their fantasies, and their fantasies are weird. So they show that Harley Quinn secretly wants like a boring domestic life with the Joker, which is like fine, whatever. That's a fair enough characterization. I think
Jared Leto looking like that looked more scary than his Joker.
He did. It looked like a cult leader or something.
It was very We Happy Few.
Yeah, but then they show that Deadshot's ultimate fantasy is to kill Batman, and that's just not consistent with the rest of his character in this movie.
Yeah, not at all. It was like he wanted to not go to prison so he could have more time with his daughter.
Yeah, so you'd show him in a domestic scene with his daughter, and that's obviously what he wants, but they're like, no, it's actually killing Batman. That's what he really wants.
We shot this scene where he kills Batman, so let's go back to that, you know? I quite liked the scene in the big Pentagon government building where Enchantress sort of arrives and she sort of her hand appears.
That flips over. It's a cool shot. Yeah,
really cool shot, right? Like I love all that kind of smoke and mirrors witchiness that these films don't really do enough of, because they need to power down the character so that Harley Quinn can kill them.
So the Enchantress can read minds, but she can't tell when Harley Quinn is obviously manipulating her.
Yep. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Anyway, the squad bonding, because there's the scene where Deadshot is ordered to shoot Harley Quinn, and the movie is not established at all why he wouldn't just do that.
Yeah. I remember having issue with that at the time. I was like, the film is the only thing the film has really done for Deadshot at this point is hammer home how much his daughter is the only thing he will do anything for, and anything that gets him back to his daughter. Amanda Waller makes a super solid offer for him that would sort all of his immediate problems out.
Mm-hmm. And then she ignores it anyway and just plants a bomb in his neck. So all of that scene was pointless. But regardless of that.
But that isn't why Deadshot doesn't do it. It's because he thinks, oh, maybe I'm friends with this clown.
Yeah. Even though the most has been like a kind of minor annoyance with her.
Yep, absolutely. The film kind of forgets a lot about the bomb neck thing, though.
It really does.
Captain Boomerang's running around saying, oh, let's just cut and run. And then
let's all gang up and flag and kill him.
At one point, they randomly remember that if anything happens to Flag, they all die based on...
Yes.
They've just remembered that fact, even though I don't think the audience forgot that.
It's an editing... It feels like what it is, which is a movie edited from two different edits of the movie by two different people.
Yeah, definitely. Because it almost seems like a issue with the writing, but I can't imagine it was that badly written, where like when they're walking around the city and they're thinking, oh, well, what do these characters speak about when they're just walking, to give them some character development? And then you go, oh, well, let's just have them talk about betraying their boss and cutting and running. Like the film hasn't firmly established there's no reason they would do that. I did quite like though when the bomb gets deactivated and Captain Boomerang just runs away. Yeah,
and then he comes back for no reason because they already shot the final action scene.
Exactly,
he's there.
Exactly.
The movie can't decide if the Suicide Squad are like misunderstood or just pure villains, because those are two different characterizations that you could go with, and either would make for an interesting movie. But you kind of have to pick one.
Well, you do have to pick one, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
But as we have seen with this genre, we cannot market through and through villains. As Venom and the SnyderVerse, also starring Jared Leto with Dr. Michael Morbius
Dr.
shows.
Michael Morbius at your service. Yeah.
That's not Michael Morbius. That's from Loki.
Morbius. Morbius, yes. He's morbin all over the place. It's
Morbin time. They all need to be somewhat redeemable, which I think really holds this film back.
See, I think you can do that. I think there is a way to tell this story where the villains are... You kind of explore why they became villains, and there's a redemption angle to this where, like, okay, they learn that, maybe being a good guy isn't so bad after all. There's a version of this movie where you do that. It's not this version of the movie.
No, it's not this version of the movie. This version of the movie ends with them agreeing to an espresso machine. Doesn't it, Kyle?
and then because Captain Boomerang didn't ask for anything, he just gets nothing, I guess.
Yeah, it was, like, he just wanted, like, freedom because it was only 10 years off the life sentence or whatever.
And then Joker comes in and reveals he's not dead, and he has a custom-made SWAT team with Joker printed on it.
I can believe it. I can believe it. That doesn't bother me at all.
What's the point of going in disguise, though, if you're just going to blow up the wall? That kind of negates the point of the disguises.
How did he get in the first place? This is a military prison base in Louisiana, in the swamps.
It's a high security, maximum security facility, and the Joker just walked in, I guess.
He's just walked in.
With Joker printed on his thing.
He has connections.
I guess. Maybe it was Greg's, that random security guard.
Yes, possibly, who we never saw again. Yeah, possibly it was him. And then we cut right into the trailers. Let me re-record that line. And then we cut right into the credits.
I mean, we also have the scene of Deadshot visiting his daughter and teaching her the math of shooting bullets.
Oh, yeah. That was a nice scene. The hypotenuse.
It's also a reshoot because Rick Flag's hair is nice and long.
Yeah, it is. And then they burst into with shackles, and then Rick Flag's like, no, I'm his friend now, don't arrest him right now. Like
big heavy, not just like handcuffs, like big heavy jackal chains.
Yeah, like cartoon mallet, you know?
Yeah.
Then we end with the scene with Amanda Waller having a drink with Batman.
Yeah, I did want to say, actually, though, I did like El Diablo in general, his story about his dead family and his kind of like arc to redemption. I think he is the version of this movie that works, where you establish that these villains, like, there's more to them than just being villains. Yeah,
absolutely. Something actually I had in my notes was he can play the opening sequence to GoldenEye in his hand.
He can! You can make a little dancing fire lady.
Yeah, and it was whenever I see it, I just think of Tina Turner saying GoldenEye, because it looks like they've just taken an asset from that opening and put it in his hand.
Uh-huh. But yeah, no, first post-credits scene in the DCEU.
It is the first post-credits scene in the DCEU, and it's Amanda Waller having a whiskey. She's had a tough day. She's in the exact same restaurant David Arbor. It's like David Arbor and the General have left.
Walked out instead, and Batman walked in.
Batman's walked in. It's always an empty restaurant. We don't let any normies in there. And
it's a restaurant specifically for secret government meetings.
Yeah, one of the few times in the movie was where another character looks like they have more power than Amanda Waller in the room.
I guess.
Because it really did feel like Bruce Wayne was someone that she was very wary of. Because she was like, I don't know what you're planning, Batman. You know?
Batman, who I guess I probably know who you are. I remember in the first episode of this show, you said, like, secret identities actually matter.
In this universe?
In this universe, that's not the case at all, because everyone always just already knows their secret identities.
Nah, I don't think so at all. Because the Clark Kent thing is really, no one knows Clark Kent is Superman. He's working at the paper.
Every character knows that Superman is Clark Kent, though. Like, sure, the civilians don't know that.
Oh yeah,
but every character in the movie knows that.
I still think that means something. Like in Marvel, everyone knows Tony Stark. Like, these people are all celebrities and they play into it,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in DC, they're all very much, they are Fortress of Solitude.
I guess.
I think there is a very stark difference. Wait until we see the last shot of Aquaman 2.
Oh, I can't wait.
Wait until we see the last shot. Everything I've just said will blow up in flames when we get to the last 2 seconds of Aquaman 2, I promise you.
Yeah, so that's our teaser for Justice League.
That is our teaser for the Justice League. The Justice League 2017.
I mean, it was a teaser for Zack Snyder's Justice League at the time, but,
Yeah, at the time, that was what that was leading into. But before we get there, Kyle, what is our next episode going to be on?
Before we get to that, do we have any final thoughts on Suicide Squad? Anything you want to say?
Release the haircut.
I mean, here's the thing. I would be interested to see it, but just as like a critical exercise,
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the main takeaway from watching Zack Snyder's Justice League versus the Justice League. It's the exact same exercise.
Yeah, it's an interesting exercise to do, but I don't think the movie would be good. I think fundamentally a Suicide Squad movie where they fight Steppenwolf wouldn't actually be any better than one where they fight Enchantress.
I don't think they would ultimately end up fighting him. I think they would still be fighting Enchantress. It would just be Steppenwolf more apparently involved. Because I think Steppenwolf was always going to be in the Justice League.
There is parts of this movie that I'm glad were saved. Like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I'm glad she got to continue that career. I'm glad Amanda Waller gets to keep being Viola Davis.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, other than that, as I say, we're looking at the cliff. It's coming up.
Yeah, we are. We can see it coming. But see, when we go off the edge of the cliff, but we're still soaring before we crash.
We're going to be soaring for a while.
Yeah, but there's some nice weightless moments in there. Like I would argue what you're referring to is also during the Suicide Squad, is where we're over the cliff. But it's still nice. I don't know. Most of this train journey is over the cliff. yeah, but we never get a violent crash. I don't think there's ever a violent crash.
No, it's the cliff at the edge of the flat Earth. We're just falling forever.
Yeah, we are falling forever. We're never gonna get more track laid down for this.
But there was a brief moment where it seemed like the train was going to turn, and that was Wonder Woman 2017.
It was, which is our next episode of this show, Enter the SnyderVerse. I entered the DCEU on Twitter. Our next episode will be coming out next week, and it'll be on Wonder Woman. Kyle, where can we find you online?
You can find me at Kyle the Scott on YouTube. You can find me at Kyle X Scott on Twitter. Those two things will be hand in hand. I teased that last week. I'm still working on the same video this week, so you know.
And you can find me, as always, at Nathan Tinney on Twitter and all other platforms on the same name. We've been your hosts. This has been Enter the SnyderVerse, and we will hear you next week for the next episode.
Well, we won't hear you. You'll hear us.
Why? Do you want me to re-record it? Is that what you want?
No.
Is that what you want?
We're already fading out. We're gone now.
Fading out. Bye-bye.